So first things first, we need to prepare some materials. Measure out about a hook gap width of 2mm foam. You can make a measurement notch with your hook point before cutting the strip. Then use that strip to measure out another color strip. Usually a darker and lighter color combo works well. Then cut a very thin strip of a bright color. We will use this as the indicator spot on top of the fly. Also, we're going to need 2 rubber legs. So before we start tying this fly, I want to let you know I listed all the materials in the description section of this video. Start by placing a 2x long dry fly hook with a down eye in your vise. Then start your thread just shy of the hook eye, and wrap back to the bend of the hook before trimming off the waist. Now pull out whatever color dubbing you want. In this case, I'm using orange. You do want a fair amount of dubbing here, more than normal for a dry fly. Then dub that onto your thread with a fairly thick but tight noodle. Then proceed to wrap the dubbing noodle up your hook shank with touching wraps. And try to get this as even as possible, but still keep it fairly thick. We're going to use this dubbing base as a thicker spot for the foam to sit on, and it'll help keep it from spinning. Now take the undercolored foam strip and tie it in with a tag sticking out about 2 eye lengths past the eye of the hook. Then tie this in tight with 3 to 4 wraps, ensuring that it is perfectly on top of the hook shank. Now wrap over the top of the foam diagonally back just a little bit. Then make an extra wrap to create a bulge. Make another diagonal wrap over the top of the foam and another extra wrap to bind down. Do this a few more times, trying to make even bulges all the way rearward until you reach the bend of the hook. At the last wraps, make 2 extra tight wraps to keep the tail end from spinning. Then cut off the excess with the tag end sticking out past the back of the hook, about as long as the front tag. As you can see, tying the diagonal wraps over the top of the foam makes nice ribbing when looked at under the fly. Okay, now take one of the rubber legs and fold it in half. And then tie this down at the center of the bunch, at the last bulge wrap. And make sure it's tied in the center of the foam as well. Now put the top color foam strip through the loop of the legs, and about even with the rear of the bottom foam strip. Then tie it in at that point with a few tight wraps. Now place the accent color strip on top of the foam strip and bind that down with a few tight wraps as well. Pull everything up and make diagonal wraps forward over each bulge to reach the following tie-in spot. Do this until you reach the first spot right behind the eye of the hook. Now you can cut off the excess accent foam. Fold the second pair of legs in half and ensure the legs are split on each side of the fly before tying it down in the center of the bunch. Place the top foam down and make sure everything is out of the way before tying the second foam down tight with a few wraps. Add another accent spot on this tie down as well. Then pull everything up and out of the way of the eye of the hook and make a few wraps just behind the eye. Cut off the accent tag and then whip finish your fly. Now trim the loops created by the legs to make 2 equal legs. Then position the front legs back and out of the way before trimming the excess foam equal to the bottom foam length. And then cement the bottom of the fly to make sure it's durable. Now you can certainly fish this fly with squared off ends, and it should do really well. However, I like to trim the foam a bit more, a little shorter, and then snip off the corners to round the front. Another trimming technique can be to cut a triangle out of the tag end, and then round off all the corners of that as well. However you trim this is up to you. Now adjust the legs to your liking and put the fly back on your vise. I personally like to cut the legs a bit shorter, but you can leave them as long as you wish. And there we have it, a finished Chernobyl ant. As you can imagine, these flies float really well and are very visible, so they make a really good indicator type dry fly. My favorite way to fish these is with this being my lead fly and dropping a small nymph under it. You can even follow with a small dry fly behind it and use it as an indicator with that as well. Or use it by itself in hopper and ant season. Either way, this is a fly that should be in all trout fly fishing boxes. And once you get the hang of tying them, they're pretty quick to tie and relatively inexpensive in materials. So I want to remind you that the list of materials are in the description section of this video, but you might have to click the Show More and expand the section to view. I've also provided links to these materials with the best prices I could find online. Okay, well thanks for watching. I will see you on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.